In the shadowed annals of history, nestled deep within the heart of ancient Greece, lay the vibrant city-state of Helike. It was a place of immense prestige and power, a beacon of culture on the shores of the Corinthian Gulf. Founded during the early Bronze Age, its roots stretched back into the mists of time, a testament to its enduring presence. Helike served as the proud capital of the First Achaean League, a confederation of 12 powerful cities. Its influence was not merely political, it was a thriving economic hub, its ports bustling with trade ships from distant lands. The city's wealth was proudly displayed in its magnificent architecture and the fine bronze coinage it minted. Above all, Helike was a sacred place, home to the revered Pan-Hellenic sanctuary of Helicone and Poseidon. This temple was a focal point of religious life, its importance in the Greek world, second only to the oracle at Delphi. Worshippers journeyed from every corner of Greece to pay homage to the mighty god of the sea and earthquakes. The city's patron was Poseidon, and his divine presence was felt in every aspect of Helikean life. Helike's reach extended far beyond its immediate shores, as it founded colonies such as Priene in Asia Minor. Another of its colonial ventures was the famously prosperous city of Sybaris in southern Italy. The city was a jewel of Achaia, a center of learning, art, and philosophy. Its people were known for their confidence, their prosperity, and their deep devotion to their patron god. They believed their city was inviolable, protected by the very deity who commanded the earth and the waves. But this profound sense of security was about to be shattered in the most terrifying way imaginable. Legend whispers of a grave offense, an act of hubris that would provoke the wrath of the divine. It was said the people of Helike refused to share a statue of Poseidon with Ionian colonists. Another tale speaks of them denying the Ionians access to their revered sanctuary. Whether born of pride or sacrilege, a terrible fate was sealed for the unsuspecting city. Then, on a bitter winter night in the year 373 BC, the catastrophe began. The ground, once so firm and reliable, began to tremble with a deep and violent shudder. This was no ordinary tremor. It was a monstrous earthquake, a convulsion of the very earth. Buildings that had stood for centuries groaned and swayed under the immense strain. Walls collapsed, roofs caved in, and the air filled with the roar of destruction and the screams of the terrified. Ancient writers noted strange omens that preceded the disaster, such as snakes and weasels fleeing the city in droves. But the human inhabitants, wrapped in their sense of security, had failed to heed the warning. The earthquake was only the prelude to an even greater horror. From the depths of the Corinthian Gulf, the sea itself seemed to rise in fury. A gigantic tsunami, a wave of unimaginable size and power, was unleashed upon the coastline. It surged inland, a relentless wall of churning water and debris. The wave struck the already shattered city with the force of 1,000 battering rams. It did not just flood Helike, it swallowed it whole, pulling it down into a watery grave. The phenomenon was later understood as soil liquefaction, where the saturated earth turned to fluid. The earthquake had turned the city's very foundation into a deadly trap. In the space of a single, horrific night, the great city of Helike vanished from the face of the earth. 10 Spartan ships that had been anchored in the harbor were dragged down with the city. The entire population, thousands of souls, perished in the cataclysm. There were no survivors to tell the tale of that final, terrifying night. The neighboring city of Bura was also destroyed by the earthquake, though it was not submerged. When morning came, there was nothing left but a vast, inland lagoon where a city had once thrived. Rescue parties arrived to find an incomprehensible scene of total devastation. The story of the city's sudden demise spread throughout the ancient world like wildfire. It became a cautionary tale, a powerful reminder of the awesome and destructive power of the gods. For centuries after the disaster, the submerged ruins of Helike remained partially visible beneath the waves. The Roman historian Pausanias, visiting the site centuries later, described what he could still see. He wrote of the city's walls, now corroded and encrusted by the sea. Roman tourists would often sail over the location, marveling at the underwater ghost town, Helike. Fishermen in the area told stories of their nets getting snagged on the city's submerged statuary. The great bronze statue of Poseidon, still standing in its watery grave, was a particular hazard. The story of Helike is widely believed to have influenced Plato's famous tale of Atlantis. The parallels were striking: a prosperous city, divine wrath, and a sudden disappearance beneath the waves. Over time, however, the memory of Helike's exact location began to fade. Sediment from nearby rivers slowly flowed into the lagoon, burying the ruins deeper and deeper. The water that held the city receded, and the land changed. Eventually, the city was lost not just to the sea, but to the land itself. For nearly 2 millennia, Helike existed only as a legend, a half-forgotten story in ancient texts. The modern search for the lost city began in the early 19th century, fueled by a renewed interest in classical antiquity. Early explorers and archaeologists searched the depths of the Corinthian Gulf, but found nothing. The assumption was that the city lay somewhere on the seafloor, just as the stories had suggested. This fruitless search continued for decades, turning Helike into an archaeological obsession. A breakthrough came in 1988 with the formation of the Helike Project. It was led by Greek archaeologist Dora Katsonopoulou and American physicist Stephen Soter. They proposed a radical new theory about the city's location. They re-examined the ancient texts, focusing on the Greek word porous. While often translated as sea, it could also mean an inland lagoon or lake. This shift in interpretation moved the search area away from the Gulf and onto the coastal plain. They began to systematically survey the area between the Selinus and Carinites rivers. Using techniques like geophysical surveys and borehole drilling, they probed deep beneath the modern surface. For years, the work was slow, painstaking, and yielded few results. But the team remained convinced they were searching in the right place. Then, in the year 2000, a borehole brought up pottery shards from the classical era. This was the first tangible proof that a settlement lay buried beneath them. The excitement was immense. They were on the verge of a monumental discovery. Finally, in 2001, the team's perseverance paid off with the discovery of a buried building. They had found it, the lost city of Helike, buried deep within an ancient, silted-up lagoon. The city was not in the Gulf, but several hundred meters inland, just as Katsonopoulou and Soter had predicted. Excavations began in earnest, slowly peeling back the layers of earth and time. They uncovered a destruction layer from 373 BC, with clear evidence of earthquake damage. Cobblestone streets, building foundations, and vast quantities of pottery were unearthed. The artifacts were perfectly preserved in the anoxic mud of the lagoon. One of the most significant finds was a coin from Helike, definitively identifying the site. But the discoveries went even deeper than the classical city. Beneath the ruins of classical Helike, they found an entire early Bronze Age city. This prehistoric settlement, dating back to around 2500 BC, was remarkably well preserved. It revealed that the site had been a major urban center for thousands of years before its final destruction. Geological analysis showed that the 373 BC event was not the first disaster to strike the city. The site was prone to seismic activity, with evidence of multiple destructions and rebuildings over the centuries. The discovery of Helike was a monumental achievement in the world of archaeology. It confirmed an ancient legend that many had dismissed as mere myth. The site provides an unparalleled snapshot of life in an ancient Greek city, frozen at the moment of its demise. It also offers a crucial case study for seismologists and geologists studying the effects of earthquakes and tsunamis. Work at the site continues to this day, with each season of excavation revealing new secrets. The story of Helike is a powerful testament to the fragility of civilization in the face of nature's power. It is a tale of a city lost, a legend that endured, and a discovery that rewrote history. The city's voice, silenced for more than 2 millennia, can now be heard once more. Helike was a center of commerce, its markets filled with goods from across the known world. The city's potters were renowned for their skill, producing elegant black figure and red figure vases. Children's laughter once echoed through its narrow, winding streets. The air would have carried the scent of baking bread, olive oil, and the nearby sea. The great gymnasium would have been a hub of activity, with athletes training and philosophers debating. The night of the earthquake, families were gathered in their homes, seeking warmth from the winter cold. The initial tremor would have been a sudden, violent jolt, waking everyone from their sleep. Panic and confusion would have spread instantly through the darkness. The sea's retreat would have been a terrifying and unnatural sight for anyone who saw it. The roar of the returning tsunami would have been deafening, a sound of pure, elemental fury. The wave carried with it the debris of the harbor and the surrounding countryside. It scoured the city from the landscape, leaving almost no trace on the surface. In the aftermath, the silence must have been as profound as the destruction itself. The loss of Helike was a deep trauma for the Achaean League and for all of Greece. The submerged city became a place of pilgrimage for the curious and the mournful. The story was passed down from generation to generation, evolving from history into legend. As centuries passed, the exact location became a puzzle, a challenge for historians and adventurers. Helike Project's use of modern science was key to solving the ancient mystery. The discovery of the destruction layer was the smoking gun that confirmed the site's identity. Among the finds were loom weights, cooking pots, and other items of daily life. These humble objects provide an intimate connection to the people who once lived there. The Bronze Age city beneath Helike was an even more surprising discovery. It suggests the region was a center of power long before the rise of the classical city-states. The rediscovery of Helike is a story of persistence, ingenuity, and a little bit of luck. It reminds us that even things thought to be lost forever can sometimes be found again. The city's legacy is no longer just a myth, but a tangible piece of the human story. Helike's final moments were a terrifying display of nature's indifference to human ambition. Ground itself became a liquid abyss, consuming everything. The water that rushed in was not clear, but a thick slurry of mud and debris. For those caught in the disaster, there was no escape and no hope. The name Helike became synonymous with sudden and complete annihilation. The submerged ruins served as a ghostly memorial for centuries. The gradual silting process was a second burial for the already lost city. By the medieval period, the lagoon had become a fertile plain, hiding its secret perfectly. Helike Project's decision to ignore the sea and search inland was a stroke of genius. Each core sample drilled was a lottery ticket, a chance to hit the historical jackpot. The discovery of a Roman-era building was an early, encouraging sign. Unearthing the classical city was like opening a time capsule from 373 BC. The ongoing research continues to piece together the city's complex, multi-layered history. Helike's story is a dramatic intersection of myth, history, and science.